Metro Healthcare welcome you to our PET program. It's an everyday challenge for a parent to regulate their emotions while dealing with their children. We, as a parent, should understand our own emotions and regulate them so that the children don't become victims of our own emotions. To guide us in this, we have Dr. Sugda Abhiram. Dr. Sugda is a consultant psychiatrist and center head of Institute for Psychological Health, Pune. She brings a unique set of skills in holistic use of pharmacotherapy and psychotherapy. She is the first consultant psychiatrist in country to start the satellite office of Albert Ellis Institute Affiliated Training Center, India. Dr. Sugda is certified in CBT from Beck Institute, Philadelphia, and REPT from Albert Institute, New York. She is a certified coach of ICF, International Coaching Federation. She has been a corporate trainer and coach since 12 years with training sessions held at leading organizations like Siemens, Bajaj Finance, Mahindra Tech, Reliance, Cipla, and Bharat Petroleum. So it's indeed our pleasure to have her with us, making us understand emotional regulation for parents. So, doctor, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Rupashri. Thanks for the introduction and a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all my seniors, colleagues, and friends here. So today I'm pretty excited to present before you because along with pediatricians, all of you are parents too, and I guess that this session of emotional regulation for ourselves as parents will add on a feather in your cap too to deal with your own children as well as help parents to deal with their kids better. Vijayji, can we have the presentation, please? Right. So, as all of you can see, I've named the slide Taming Our Emotions. The word taming, it signifies something. Many a times we are not adept in dealing with our own emotions. We try to suppress them, we deny them, or we express them the way they arise within our system. Now, emotions need not be suppressed because if we just keep on suppressing our emotions, they do some kind of damage to our own systems, our own bodies. If we just deny them, their expression does come out in one way or the other, and many a times it's harmful. If we just let them out the way they are, it often leads to damaging our relationships because we've seen ourselves when in the flow of extreme negative emotions, we tend to lose control over ourselves. So then what exactly needs to be done? Emotions primarily need to be accepted. We need to be aware of our emotions and we need to accept our own emotions so that we are able to channelize them better so that the damage to ourselves as well as our kids is taken care of. Now, all these slides, all these pointers, of course, you'll be using for the parents that approach you every day. But let me tell you right in the beginning that these skills are not just employable for dealing with our kids, but also with ourselves, with rest of our family members, with our colleagues, and everybody around us. Emotions are an integral part of us, our existence, our system, and the better we are able to regulate them, the better will be our behavioral patterns as well as use of our potential and intellect. So all of us today know that EQ and IQ, they don't stand parallel anymore. There was a time when IQ was given a greater weightage. Everybody used to pray that let my child be born with a very high IQ. And today, all of us know that only IQ, a very high IQ rather, if coupled with a poor EQ, that is emotional quotient, is not going to help my child much. Because EQ involves managing myself, and managing other people. So today what we need to understand is that EQ has a vital and more important role to play than mere IQ. So IQ is important, no doubt, but my potential will only reach its creative end if I am able to sustain it in difficult situations as well as help myself in team building. So it's very important that unless until I regulate my own emotions, I know how to deal with myself and other people in the extreme situations better. I won't be able to use my intellect to its fullest. So, today, a part of EQ that we are going to see is managing our own emotions so that we can deal with our kids better. Henry Ford, the famous personality, had said long back that had God given me a choice between high EQ and high IQ, I would have definitely selected high EQ. Why so? Because a person with a high IQ will be successful but not necessarily happy. In contrast, a person with high EQ, although he has an average intelligence, he will be successful as well as happy because he'll be able to employ 100 brains with a very high IQ to work under him. So that's the beauty of this emotional part. And other very nice factor here is EQ is something that can be increased to any extent and that can be started at any age. So unlike IQ, which we all are born with, bestowed with, and it remains a fixed number, EQ is not the case. We can work on our EQ right from today and increase it to whatever extent we want. Right. So coming to parents and what generally happens in a parent-child interaction is what we are going to see. Vijayji, can we have the next slide? Yes, just a minute. Just give me a minute. Okay, so now coming to the psychological perspective behind it. As you can see the slide, we love our children tremendously, but express it too miserly. All of us having children have must have noticed that most of the communication throughout the day goes behind the children's homework, studies, behavior, rules, play, use of mobile, internet, television, and whatnot. How many minutes in a day do parents talk to their children with respect to what all they appreciate in them? कि तुम्हारा ना ये बात बहुत अच्छा है, तुम में ये पोटेंशियल है, एंड आई लाइक इट वेरी मच, आई एम इम्प्रेस्ड बाय द वे यू डू दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. सो ऑल ऑफ अस विल अग्री टू दिस फैक्ट दैट दिन में 15 मिनट, आधा घंटा, 1 घंटा आराम से जाता होगा इन क्रिटिसाइजिंग आवर चिल्ड्रन. पढ़ाई नहीं करते हो, ब्रश ठीक से नहीं करते हो, हर बात के लिए बोलना पड़ता है, बुक्स कैसी पड़ी है, शूज ठीक से रखो. इट्स अ वेरी रूटीन पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ माय डे. But we just need to pause here and ask ourselves, how many times do we acknowledge their needs? That I know you are really feeling upset today. Whatever happened in the school might be disappointing. You must be annoyed when the school was again cancelled this month because of the corona surge. How many times do we acknowledge them? And more important than that, how many times do we actually appreciate our children for whatever they are, for whatever they do? Now, don't you think this is very important? That if on one side criticism is
ऐसी है बट उसको फुल स्क्रीन मोड पे व्यू कर लो, तो उसने अभी किया, देखो हुआ ना.
Bhavishi, can you mute yourself, please?
Yes ma'am.
Yeah. So the point is, if the parental communication is just going one-sided in the form of criticism or judgment or improvement, there will be a gross imbalance in the child's perception of himself or herself. The child will have a tendency to look at self not as a good person, and that can result in later years when we see how the personality of the child is formed. So we see statistics in 5-year-olds, they show that 80% feel good about themselves. But statistics in 12-year-olds show that only 20% feel good about themselves. They just don't express. What must be the reason behind this? क्यों ऐसे होता होगा? See, at 5, a child is not bothered as much as to what the world around him is saying. But as the child grows up, we all know that conditioning plays a very, very important role in reforming our own belief system. As the child grows old and he hears negative, criticizing, and judgmental talk about himself, that child falls in a trap of continuously questioning his own existence, his own intelligence, his own capabilities, and later on his own self worth. Please note, all of us as adults, we too have heard many, many labels from our parents, family members, and near and dear ones when we were small. As kids, those labels might have not impacted us much, but most of us have the tendency to carry that labels into our future. And I'm sure many of us today would still be carrying that label somewhere within that system. I remember my own self, my handwriting used to be very, very slow. So it often used to happen that टीचर लिख के देती थी होमवर्क ब्लैक बोर्ड पे और कॉपी में इतनी स्लोली करती थी कि आधा होमवर्क रह जाता था मेरा कॉपी करना. फिर नेक्स्ट टीचर आती थी और वो बोर्ड क्लीन कर देती थी. एंड ऑफन वो मुझे होमवर्क मेरा आधा लिख के होता था. उस टाइम मोबाइल नहीं थे कि मेरी मदर जल्दी से कॉल कर ले किसी और को और पूछ ले कि क्या हो रहा है. Then my mom used to scold me कि कितने बार बोला है फास्ट लिख. फिर मेरी दादी बोलती थी कि कितनी स्लो है ये, कितनी स्लो है ये. उस टाइम पे पता नहीं क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ होगा, बट एज आई ग्रू अप I always felt that I'm lacking in something. I'm not as good, I'm not as smart, I'm not as quick as rest of the people are, and I always used to pull myself down. So this is a small thing which commonly occurs in our day-to-day lives. We tend to label our children. Please note, I label a chair as stupid and nothing will happen to that chair. I label my child as stupid and he will never ever remain the same old child. Something within him will change permanently. And as parents, it is our duty that this change, whatever is occurring in our children, it should be constructive, not destructive. Today, all of us have achieved so many things in life. We are doing pretty well. We are successful. लेकिन कुछ labels हमारे system में से गए नहीं हैं. That is the impact it has on our overall personality. So let us recognize this habit, be aware of this habit, that how much am I criticizing or judging my child? Am I labeling my child? And what emotional trauma that must be causing to my child, which might be affecting his self-worth in the long run, right? Let's move on to the next slide. Yes. So many a times children behave in a way that makes us think, is this really my child? हमें सबको पता है ना कि बहुत ड्रामा करते हैं. काफी बार ऐसे होता है कि हम कहीं बाहर जाते हैं, सुपरमार्केट गए हो, किसी के घर गए हो और वहां मेरा बच्चा ठान लेता है कि आज तो दिखाना ही है, एंड ही क्रिएट्स अ लॉट ऑफ सीन एंड लॉट ऑफ फस देयर, एंड इट कम्स टू माय माइंड, यार मेरा ही बच्चा है, ऐसे कैसे कर रहा है. But the interesting part is the next part of the slide, of course. Then we react to them in such a way that they are forced to think, am I really their child? काफी बार पेरेंटल रिएक्शंस इतने हार्श होते हैं, बच्चा भी यही सोचता होगा मैं सच में इनका बच्चा हूं. इमोशंस जब बहुत हाई हो जाते हैं, चाहे वो गुस्सा हो, चाहे वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन हो, कुछ भी हो, काफी बार वी टेंड टू लूज कंट्रोल ऑन आवरसेल्व्स. और एक बार कंट्रोल छूट गया तो हमने एक्सपीरियंस भी किया है कि कभी कभी हाथ उठ जाता है, कभी कभी हम ऐसी लैंग्वेज और टोन यूज करते हैं हमारे बच्चे के साथ जो बाद में हम ही को रियलाइज होता है जो बहुत गलत था और उस पर उसका बहुत ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट हुआ है. Why does this happen? What happens to us in that fraction of a moment that we just lose control over ourselves? वो तो 5 साल का बच्चा है, वो तो गड़बड़ करेगा, उसके ब्रेन में इतनी मैच्योरिटी है ही नहीं. बट हम तो मैच्योर है. फिर हमारा ब्रेन में ऐसे क्या हो जाता है that we tend to lose control and we behave in a way that we later on regret. वो बच्चा सोने के बाद आई ऑब्जर्व सो मेनी पेरेंट्स फीलिंग गिल्टी कि मैंने क्यों ऐसे किया, मैंने कितने हार्श वर्ड्स यूज किए, मैंने सबके सामने क्यों उसको इस तरह से बोल दिया. बट ऑफ कोर्स वी नो दैट लेटर ऑन नथिंग कैन बी डन टू अनडू इट. सो प्लीज नोट अगेन, दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट कि हम उस वक्त जो करते हैं वो बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट ले आता है अपने बच्चे की लाइफ पर, और उस वक्त खुद को रेगुलेट करना इज व्हाट all of us need to learn. Moving ahead. Yes, now this is the most important part कि जिसके लिए हम सब पेरेंट्स को आज यहाँ पे सेंसिटाइज करने वाले हैं, that why you need to tame your emotions better while communicating and interacting with your child. The slide clearly says, do you want your child to talk and share everything with you when he or she is in the stormy teenage? सारे पेरेंट्स की कंप्लेंट होती है ना कि हाँ अभी बच्चा बड़ा हो गया, अब हमसे शेयर नहीं करता, उसे पूरा टाइम फ्रेंड्स के साथ होना होता है. एंड टुडे सोशल मीडिया इज आल्सो टेकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ पार्ट इन इट. पूरा दिन फेसबुक, ट्विटर, इंस्टा, आजकल मम्मी पापा के साथ तो कोई कनेक्ट ही नहीं बचा है. इसकी शुरुआत कहाँ से है? तो इसकी शुरुआत हुई है राइट फ्रॉम द किड व्हेन ही इज 2 to 3 years old. The base is forming today. How do you react to their mistakes today? आज अगर मेरे बच्चे से कुछ मिस्टेक हो जाती है, कैसे रिएक्ट करती हूँ मैं? लेट से घर में एक 5-6 साल का बच्चा है और कोई बहुत ही महंगा सा इंट्रिकेट सा कोई ग्लास वर्क का पीस, शो पीस है जो मैंने इटली या ग्रीस से लाया है और वो रखा है हमारे ड्राइंग रूम के एक कोने में. I've instructed my child not to play with his football inside the house, but of course वो बच्चा है, वो खेलेगा, और एक दिन ऐसे हुआ कि बॉल लग गया and that intricate showpiece fell on the ground and shattered into 100 pieces. वो शोपीस मैंने बहुत ही मुझे अच्छा लगा था, मैं जब कहीं गई थी बाहर और मैंने लाया था. इट वॉज वन ऑफ माई फेवरेट पीसेस. In spite of telling my son hundreds of times not to play, still he did that and he broke it. जाहिर सी बात है कि मैं डिस्टर्ब होंगी, मुझे गुस्सा आएगा, नो डाउट अबाउट इट. यहाँ पॉइंट मैं जो बताना चाहती हूँ वो ये है कि अगर मुझे मेरे बच्चे की मिस्टेक पे डील करना ही है, उसके साथ डील करना ही है, व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प मी? हाउ डू आई डील विद द सिचुएशन? सी व्हाट हैपेंस इज, उसके हाथ से गलती हुई, मैंने उसको बहुत डांटा, चिल्लाया, उस पर कभी कभी मारा, बॉल कॉन्फिस्केट कर ली एंड उसको बोला कि जा अभी, डोंट कम इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी फॉर द नेक्स्ट 1 hour, आई एम रियली रियली पिस्ड ऑफ. What impact will it have on my child? Two kinds of impacts can happen. Point number 1 is my child will start feeling very very guilty and start blaming and labeling him कि मैं ना कैसा बच्चा हूँ, I am not a good child, I can never make my mama happy, I give her so much of pain, she does not like me. और उसका खुद को देखने का नजरिया धीरे धीरे वैसे होता जाएगा that I am not good enough, my mama doesn't like me, she doesn't love me. In contrast, there are some kids वो इनबॉर्न रिबेल होते हैं. वो क्या बोलेंगे, हाँ मैंने तोड़ा, मम्मा ने मुझे पनिशमेंट दे दी, टिट फॉर टैट हो गया, नाउ आई एम फ्री टू बिहेव द वे आई वांट. So in the long run, self change, self motivated change ये बच्चे में कहीं भी नहीं आया है. Now is there a better way of communicating with your child? Of course there is, but for that the primary requirement would be that I regulate my emotions, I tame my anger, I regulate my anger, I bring myself to a normal regulated state and then talk with my child. बच्चे ने गलती की है, कोई डाउट नहीं है, बच्चे को यहाँ पे कुछ ना कुछ रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस लाना है, डिसिप्लिन लाना है, कहीं ना कहीं पनिशमेंट जरूरी है, टेकन, but the way I express it is very, very important, and that is often guided or decided by my emotional state. So, what is my goal here? What does my child need to learn? My child needs to learn that he needs to take ownership of his mistake, point number one. And point number two is that he should not be repeating the mistake again. Now, how do I ensure that? वो तभी होगा जब मेरा बच्चा खुद से सोचेगा कि मेरे बिहेवियर का इम्पैक्ट क्या हुआ है. Now, what if I just share with you a different scenario in which a mother reacts differently? Same चीज हुई है, बॉल से वो शोपीस टूट गया है, इट्स अ मेस ऑल इन द हाउस, और बच्चा इज अ बिट डिस्टर्ब्ड ऑफ कोर्स कि अब मुझे डांट पड़ने वाली है. Now, instead of the mother coming and typically reacting with her shouts and blames and accusations, kabhi kabhi maar, instead of that the mother says, okay, I see what has happened, I know you have not done it purposefully, but yet नुकसान जो होने का था वो हो चुका है. What do you think should be done now? अब वो बच्चा शायद ना रीजंस देने लगा, पर लेकिन मैंने जानबूझ के नहीं किया, वो ऐसे हुआ वैसे हुआ, मैं इसके बाद नहीं खेलूंगा. द मदर अगेन इज कंपोज्ड. She has kept her anger aside for a while, and in a very calm tone she is saying, yes, I really understand that you have not done it purposefully. आपने जानबूझ के नहीं तोड़ा है, बट टूट तो गई है चीज. Now let us come towards the solution part of it. What can be done now? अब शायद बच्चा बोलेगा कि I'll help you clean the mess. Okay, you can help me with it. What are you going to do? हाँ, मैं जाके झाड़ू लेके आऊंगा, पैन लाके डस्टिंग पैन ले आऊंगा, and I'll help you clear it. As a mother, I'll say, you don't go near the glasses. You help me with the stuff and let me clean it. Okay, बच्चा जाता है, लेके आता है. Now, as I am picking the glass pieces, I can again communicate with my child. Okay, although तुमने जानबूझ के नहीं किया, गलती हुई है और मेरा फेवरेट शोपीस टूट चुका है. Can we bring it back? No, Mama, I'm sorry. Yeah. I want you to use this emotion to plan something in future. What can we do to ensure that this doesn't happen again? Mama, I'll really take care and I'll play outside. Yes, sweetheart, we have discussed over it many times and फिर भी ऐसे हो गया है. तो क्या करें अगर फिर से तुम्हें टेम्प्ट हो गया कि घर में बॉल खेलना है, तो what will you do? Now let the child come up with alternatives. I'll do 1, I'll do 2, I'll do 3. Then the mother says okay, and if in case ऐसा नहीं होता है तो now they let it commit from the child that मम्मा फिर ना आप मेरी बॉल 3 दिन के लिए कॉन्फिस्केट कर लेना. Look, I won't be very happy confiscating the ball, but अगर ये सारा प्लान करने के बावजूद भी ऐसा नहीं हुआ है, तो let's agree that I'll confiscate your ball for 3 days and you won't pester me for getting it before 3 days. Can we make a deal on this? Yes, Mama. Okay. And I hope you've taken the lesson from it. The child will have an increased tendency to say, yes, I have learned my lesson. और वो टेंडेंसी इसीलिए ज्यादा होगी क्योंकि मैंने वो लेसन उसे सिखाया नहीं है, मैंने उसको सिर्फ पूछा कि क्या हुआ है. वो बच्चे के दिमाग से आया कि ऐसे हुआ वैसे हुआ और हाँ मुझसे गलती हुई. See, there is a very, very simple principle that I would like to share here. All of us are born with the survival instinct. सामने वाला जब तलवार निकालता है, इंस्टिंक्चुअली मैं अपनी ढाल निकालूंगी और मैं अपनी तलवार निकालूंगी फॉर प्रोटेक्शन. सो व्हेन अ मदर स्कोल्ड्स हर चाइल्ड और स्टार्ट्स विद तोड़ दिया, बच्चा वो अटैक करके लेता है और बच्चे का सोल एम हो जाता है टू प्रोटेक्ट हिमसेल्फ फ्रॉम दैट अटैक. बच्चा तुरंत ढाल निकालता है. मैंने नहीं किया, जानबूझ के नहीं किया, वो वहां पे रखा ही नहीं था, मेरा ध्यान ही नहीं था, XYZ। तो अगर मदर ने अटैक ही नहीं किया तो बच्चे को खुद की ढाल और तलवार निकालने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी। Here the mother simply asked, did you see what happened? What can we do here? So it did not go to a battlefield, rather it remained a two-way communication and it was 100% solution oriented. Now the importance of this, as we were saying, is कि अगर बचपन से ही ये आदत हमने बच्चे को लगाई कि अगर गलती हो भी गई तो my parent does not pounce on me, my parent does not attack me, rather the parent holds my hand and takes me towards a solution. ये बच्चे को अगर ट्रस्ट रहा तो टीनेज का कम्युनिकेशन भी 100% अलग हो सकता है। विजय जी, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। Yes, when children experience that their mistakes are only magnified when they come to the notice of their parents, they learn to hide them. And gradually over years, they become an expert in this. हम सबका एक्सपीरियंस है कि बच्चे झूठ बोलने लगते हैं, बच्चे छुपाने लगते हैं। एंड इन एडिशन टू दिस, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। Yes, when parents overreact, children stop sharing, start hiding, start lying, and importantly, become drawn to outside sources where they feel more accepted. अगर पेरेंट की तरफ से हमेशा हार्श वर्ड्स रहे, क्रिटिसिज्म रहा, ब्लेमिंग रहा, अटैक रहा, तो बच्चा नेचुरल टेंडेंसी के थ्रू उधर जाएगा जहां पे उसको ज्यादा एक्सेप्टेड लगे, और वो होता है उसके फ्रेंड्स के साथ, फेसबुक के साथ, इंस्टा के साथ, क्योंकि वहां पे लाइक्स ही लाइक्स होते हैं, वहां पे उसको एक्सेप्टेड लगता है, एक्नॉलेज लगता है। देयर दैट चाइल्ड फील्स वर्थवाइल being attended to. So please note, parents, what is important is today we can't stop this social media thing. But what we can ensure is that if I myself is composed and regulated, I can create an environment within my house which is more welcoming to my kid to share everything that he or she has in her mind. Next slide, please. Yes, so it's my duty to develop trust in my child that whenever I go wrong or things go wrong, I do have two people in this world to run across to who will accept me and show me the right path. हर कोई हम में से चाहता है ना कि मेरा बच्चा जब टीनेज में जाए और उसका पहला जब रिलेशनशिप हो, let my child share it with me. अगर उसके पियर्स ने उसको प्रेशराइज किया फॉर स्मोकिंग और ड्रिंकिंग, लेट माई चाइल्ड फील सिक्योर एंड कंफर्टेबल इन टॉकिंग इट आउट विथ मी। जो लास्ट सेशन में हमने देखा, इफ इट्स रिलेटेड टू सेक्सुअलिटी, माई चाइल्ड शुड बी कंफर्टेबल इनफ टू ओपन इट विथ वन ऑफ द पेरेंट्स। So if you want this when the child enters his teenage, please note the base is forming today. आज अगर कंपोस्ट बॉक्स वो बच्चा खो देता है और उसके मदर फादर सीन कर देते हैं, दैट चाइल्ड विल नेवर हैव अ कॉन्फिडेंस कि आगे चल के मैं अपने मिस्टेक्स इनके साथ शेयर करूं। रादर ही विल ट्राई टू अवॉइड इट, हाइड इट, और डिस्टेंस आते जाएगा पेरेंट और बच्चे के बीच में, राइट? अब हमें ये देखना है कि ये होता क्यों है। Once we understand that, then we'll able to, of course, regulate ourselves better. Yes, Vijay ji, next slide. Right, so let's change our habits, parents. Our kid is forming his database for future. Moving on to next slide. Yes, so being a calm parent involves creating a space between your child's action and your reaction. ये इतना सडनली होता है कि डे टू डे में हमारा ध्यान ही नहीं रहता है। यहाँ पे बच्चे ने गड़बड़ कर दी, यहाँ से पेरेंट्स का रिएक्शन आ गया, यहाँ बच्चे ने कुछ गड़बड़ किया, यहाँ से डांट आ गई, कुछ हो गया मार पड़ गई, कुछ हो गया लेबल आ गया। We just need to pause and create a few seconds space between what has happened and how we are responding to that. कैसे करना है ये आगे देखेंगे. बिफोर दैट we'll just see why do all of us have this tendency to react or to pounce on anything if it goes wrong. Going to the next slide. Yes. Now this is a very important slide as far as understanding of our brain and our emotions goes. जैसे आपको दिख रहा है, बहुत ही लेमैन टर्मिनोलॉजी में यहाँ पे यूज करी हूँ सो दैट व्हेनेवर यू इंटरैक्ट विद पेरेंट्स यू विल हैव दिस इजी लैंग्वेज टू एक्सप्लेन थिंग्स टू देम. इमोशनल ब्रेन जिसे हम साइंटिफिकली कहते हैं हमारा एमिगडाला विच रेस्ट्स नियर द हिपोकैम्पस. टोटली इस एपरेटस को कहा जाता है लिम्बिक सिस्टम. तो लेमैन टर्म में हम इसे कहेंगे इमोशनल ब्रेन. और थिंकिंग ब्रेन जिसे हम कहते हैं कॉर्टेक्स, हमारा प्री फ्रंटल कॉर्टेक्स जो है हमारा इंटेलेक्चुअल ब्रेन, हमारा रैशनल ब्रेन, उसे सिंपल वर्ड्स में हम कहेंगे हमारा थिंकिंग ब्रेन. नाउ लेट्स फोकस ऑन द इमोशनल ब्रेन फर्स्ट. सो एज ऑल ऑफ अस नो, एज डॉक्टर्स, एज मेडिकल पीपल, वी नो कि ब्रेन का इवोल्यूशन कैसे हुआ है. सो जो लोअर एरियाज है ब्रेन स्टेम तक के, वी नो दैट इट्स प्रेजेंट इन ऑल द लोअर एनिमल्स एज वेल. सो पहले लोअर ब्रेन आया है, फिर मिड ब्रेन आया है, और लास्ट में जो डेवलप हुआ है वो है कॉर्टेक्स, दैट इज आवर थिंकिंग ब्रेन. नाउ हम अगर ये बीच का पोर्शन लेते हैं मिड ब्रेन का और अपने लिम्बिक सिस्टम का, प्लीज नोट वो एनिमल्स में भी उतना ही स्ट्रांग है जैसे वो हम में है. एंड व्हाट इज द प्राइमरी फंक्शन ऑफ दिस इमोशनल ब्रेन? its primary function is the mode of survival. As you can see, it is labeled the reptilian or the hunter brain. So the primary function of this brain is to react to any kind of threat that comes its way. Now just imagine ourselves maybe 2 lakh years back, जब हम लोग स्टोन एज में थे और जंगलों में रहा करते थे. What kind of challenges or threats did we have at that time? Just one threat, that was survival. And that was of course a biological threat, a life and death threat. तब तक हंटिंग भी शुरू नहीं हुआ था, तो आदमी जो था, हमारे फोरफादर्स जो थे, they used to stay well on roots and fruits and all the jungle produce. तो थ्रेट उनके सर्वाइवल को एक ही थी, दैट इज चैलेंजेस ऑफ सर्वाइवल. पहले तो वाइल्ड एनिमल्स से बचो, दूसरा है और कोई शिकार कर ले तो उससे बचो, और तीसरा है नेचुरल कैलामिटीज से बचो. नाउ टू डील विद दीज सर्वाइवल थ्रेट्स, बायोलॉजिकल थ्रेट्स, उस आदमी के पास 2 ही ऑप्शंस थे, फाइट एंड फ्लाइट. या तो मारो, अगर फिजिकल सुपीरियोरिटी रही तो मारो, और अगर दिखा कि फिजिकल सुपीरियोरिटी नहीं है तो फ्लाइट मतलब भागो. कभी कभी ऐसा होता था कि फाइट भी नहीं कर सकती है और ये भाग भी नहीं सकता है बंदा, तब आउट ऑफ हेल्पलेसनेस ये तीसरा ऑप्शन आ गया, फ्रीज. दैट आई जस्ट स्टॉप, आई गिव अप. ना मैं भाग सकता हूं ना मैं फाइट कर सकता हूं, सो नाउ गिव इन, दिस इज प्रोबेबली एंड ऑफ मी. सो देखो, कहीं ना कहीं ऐसा कोई एनिमल है जिसको आई एम कॉन्फिडेंट आई कैन किल दैट. स्नेक है मेरे सामने एंड आई एम प्रीटी श्योर, आई हैव कॉन्फिडेंस दैट आई कैन किल हिम, आई गो फॉर फाइट, मारो. अगर ऐसे दिखा कि बहुत ही बड़ा शेर है मेरे सामने एंड आई नो कि मैं उसको फाइट तो अकेले नहीं कर पाऊंगी, क्या है ऑप्शन? भागो, लाइट. कभी कभी ऐसा दिखता है कि तीनों बाजू से शेर आ गए हैं और पीछे खाई है, ना मैं भाग सकता हूं ना मैं जंप कर सकता हूं. या कभी कभी ऐसा होता था कि दिस मैन यूज्ड टू बी स्टक इन अ दलदल, जिसे हम क्विक सैंड कहते हैं. तो दलदल में फंस चुका है, ये फाइट भी नहीं कर सकता, ये भाग भी नहीं कर सकता है. थोड़ा भी हिल दे वो और नीचे जाएगा. अब उसके हाथ में ही कुछ नहीं है, फ्रीज. अगर कोई यहां से गया, अगर उसने बचाया तो ठीक है, अदरवाइज आई हैव टू सी माई सेल्फ डाई हियर. तो ये ऑप्शंस तब के थे, फाइट, फ्लाइट और फ्रीज. अब देखिए, उस आदमी के पास टाइम की लग्जरी नहीं थी. If there is a tiger in front of me about to pounce on me, I couldn't say that I will constitute a high level subcommittee to go into the causes of the tiger attacking me. कमिटी डिनर कहाँ करती? टाइगर के पेट में. So if there was a tiger in front of me, I needed to react in a fraction of a second to save my life. Now all of us know, being doctors, that अगर बॉडी में वो एनर्जी ही नहीं रही, so is it possible for me to fight a 250 kg tiger? Of course not. Physically impossible लगता है. या even to outrun that tiger जो कि 4 पैरों पे भाग के आ रहा है मेरे पास. Physically it seems impossible, but we know that we have fought, we have run, and we have saved ourselves and our species. तो ये zest हमें कौन देता था? यहाँ पे रोल आता है emotions का. That emotions used to come into picture and they used to provide me with the zest and energy to do that action of saving myself. And that's why my emotional brain is connected to my sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, through which मेरे सारे organs को connect जाता है, जिससे मेरे emotions decide करते हैं कि अभी कौन सा nervous system activate होगा. Please note, fight was associated with the emotion of anger. अगर मुझे शेर को मारना है तो मुझे कितनी एनर्जी लगेगी ना. फाइट, मसल टोन, हार्ट, लंग्स सब एक्टिव लगेंगे so that I can fight that tiger. मैं अगर कहूँ चल फाइट, will I be able to fight a tiger? Of course I'll be dead by then. So जब मैं एंग्री होती थी ना कि हाँ अब तो इसको मार के ही रहना है, that anger used to trigger the accelerator part of my nervous system, that is the sympathetic nervous system, और within a second सारे changes हो जाते थे मेरे बॉडी में. मेरा हार्ट का पंपिंग बढ़ जाता था so that oxygen reaches everywhere, मेरा ब्रीदिंग बढ़ जाता था, मेरे गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल सिस्टम को ब्रेक लग जाता था कि अभी तुम्हारी जरूरत नहीं है, यू जस्ट रिलैक्स. मेरा मसल्स का टोन बढ़ जाता था, मेरा अटेंटिवनेस और फोकस बढ़ जाता था. ये सब होने में it used to take fraction of a second. Within a second my brain used to decide that I have to fight, and I used to find myself fighting that tiger and saving myself. Similarly for flight, भागो, डर. अगर मुझे शेर को देख के डर ही नहीं लगा तो do you think I'll run away from the tiger? तब तो मेरा इंटेलिजेंस मेरे से बात करने लगेगा ना, अरे ये वही टाइगर है क्या जो 2 दिन पहले देखा था. I just won't run away because fear नहीं है. So again nature has endowed this for us, wherein my emotional brain immediately senses as a threat. मारो या भागो वो 1 सेकंड में डिसाइड करता है, and before even I can know, I find myself running and a couple of feet away from the tiger. ये भी होता है in a second. So now please, ये जो reactions हम में आते हैं which are related to our survival, they are called reactions. Why? Because they are instinctual. अभी भी अगर मेरे सामने कुछ biological threat हो गया, if something in this room catches fire, I won't have to think. I'll just get up and I'll see myself outside of the room without even analyzing कि यार कहाँ से लगी और क्यों लगी. So that is my emotional brain which is trained to react within a fraction of a second as soon as it sees any threat. यहाँ तक कि क्लियर है? ये हार्डवेयर मेरे ब्रेन में काम कर रहा है since lakhs of years. Okay? Now coming to the second half of it, to our thinking brain. Thinking brain का ज्यादा यूज कब से हुआ? Since man is into civilization, जो कि अभी 10-12 हजार साल का है. Now just compare, हाँ ये हार्डवेयर यहाँ पे चल रहा है रिएक्ट वाला lakhs of years, और ये अभी का सॉफ्टवेयर जो आया है वो कुछ हजार साल का है. Now this is my evolved और लॉजिकल ब्रेन, मेरा एनालिटिकल ब्रेन है ये. मेरे सामने आज चैलेंजेस भी बदल गए हैं. तब जो मुझे आते थे चैलेंजेस वो सर्वाइवल रिलेटेड थे, इसलिए हम उन्हें थ्रेट्स कहते हैं. आज जो हम सबके सामने हैं उसे हम कहेंगे साइकोसोशल चैलेंजेस. Why? Because they are psychological, they are intellectual, they are social. Which are the common challenges in front of me? ऑफिस का काम करना ये रोज का चैलेंज है. फॉर डॉक्टर्स डीलिंग विद डिफिकल्ट केसेस इज अ चैलेंज. मेंटेनिंग हेल्दी रिलेशनशिप्स इज अ चैलेंज. finances is a challenge. Traffic is a challenge. Maintaining my status is a challenge. ये सारे challenges है. Please note, nothing of them is biological. Nothing is going to kill me. So we label them as psychosocial challenges. जैसे बायोलॉजिकल थ्रेट्स को मेरी तरफ से रिएक्शन लगता था, इम्पल्सिव इमीडिएट रिएक्शन, डू साइकोसोशल challenges require a reaction from me? Of course not. What they require is a thoughtful response by using my intelligence, my judgment, and my wisdom. Okay? Because a very important factor here is for psychosocial challenges, I have time factor available. So आज कोई भी psychosocial challenge मेरे सामने हो, अभी मैं सेशन चल रहा है and let's say इलेक्ट्रिसिटी गई और इन्वर्टर का बैकअप भी नहीं आया and the net goes off in my room, I know I have this session which is going on live. अगर मैं रिएक्शन मोड पे गई, तो I'll just get irritated and angry. I'll go on fight mode कि this had to happen now और ऐसे हुआ ही कैसे. But if I just say कि okay, there is a challenge in front of me, what resources do I have? It is a psychosocial challenge. It's not killing me. I don't need to react. What all can I use right now in this difficult situation? Now please note, if I just remind myself this, I'll have 4 major resources at my perusal. What are they? I have time. It's not that I have to react in a fraction of a second. I can buy half a minute from the organizers and tell them that while I adjust on some alternative source, please tell the participants to stay put. So I have time, a couple of minutes at least. I have technology. कि आज अगर वाईफाई गया है तो मेरे पास दूसरा डोंगल है, मेरे पास मोबाइल में अच्छा नेट है कि जिससे मैं कनेक्ट कर सकती हूँ. सो आई हैव टेक्नोलॉजी. आई हैव माय इंटेलिजेंस जो सबसे बड़ा है, जो मुझे 3-4 ऑल्टरनेटिव्स यूं ही दे देगा बस अगर मैं शांति से सोचूं. और चौथा है टीम. So I can call up the organizers asking them to support me till I arrange. I have my family members जिनको मैं फट से आवाज लगा सकती हूँ कि please someone come and assist me, I'm having a difficulty here. So today I have the luxury of time, technology, what did I just say? Time, technology, team, that is my family members or in office, my team, and lastly, my intelligence. If I just pause and allow myself to use these resources, trust me, I'll be able to deal with any challenge in a much better way, right? अगर मैं ये सब use करके, if then I deal with the challenge, this will be called not a reaction, but a thoughtful response, right? So what is the basic difference? Challenges हमारे सामने continuously आते हैं. अगर वो biological रहे, life and death रहे, तो my emotional brain goes into play. उसका काम एक ही है, threat है तो decide करो मारना है या भागना है. In a fraction of a second, it decides and it reacts. If in case, however, the challenge is psychosocial, I have to pause. I have to tell myself, okay, I don't need to react. It's not killing me. And then I can say, okay, how do I use my time, my intelligence, my team, and rest of the factors to deal with it in a most appropriate and productive way. This pausing, thinking, and then behaving is called a response. So what you and me need to do today is, instead of reacting to every challenge, I need to pause and respond. However, what happens with you and me is, Vijay ji, can we go next? See, this statement is very, very important. Since human civilization is young, I mean a few thousand years, the conditioning for the biological threats is much more ingrained and it has become a part of my hardware. And therefore, a common error of judgment is that my mind mistakes a psychosocial challenge as a biological one. And instead of pausing and responding, it instinctually reacts. So सामने अगर दिखता है कि बच्चे ने पूरे घर के सामने मुझे बोला कि मम्मा यू हैव गॉन मैड, मम्मा यू आर आउट ऑफ योर माइंड, अगर मेरे बच्चे ने ये मुझ पे डाला तो यहाँ पे कौन एक्टिवेट हो जाएगा, मेरा थिंकिंग ब्रेन या मेरा इमोशनल ब्रेन? ऑफ कोर्स दिस हैज कम एज अ थ्रेट टू मी ना. सो although what my child has uttered are words, my brain tends to misinterpret as a threat कि उसने मुझ पे अटैक किया, and instead of calmly responding to him, I tend to blow out, I tend to burst, I tend to react. कभी कभी मैं फाइट मोड पे जाती हूँ जब एंगर होता है. What did you just say? Just come home and see what I do with you. ये मैं नहीं बोली, ये मेरे एंगर ने मुझे बोलने लगाया. कभी कभी फियर के साथ भी ऐसा ही होता है. मेरे बच्चे को ना बुखार है. नाउ वी नो कि इन कोरोना टाइम्स इट्स रियली डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस टू मेंटेन आवर सैनिटी. सुबह उठी मैं और बच्चे को उठाने गई एंड आई फील कि टेम्परेचर है और 100 नहीं है, 100 से ऊपर ही है, मे बी 101, 102. Immediately I go on panic. Now this is a flight mode that I just can't handle this. कोरोना हो गया तो. So with any challenge, I either go for attack or I go into avoidance. मुझसे नहीं होगा. Now this is because ये जो हार्डवेयर है ये लाखों साल से काम कर रहा है. उसका एक ही काम है, चैलेंज दिखा के रिएक्ट करो. तो ये जो कुछ हजार सालों से हमारा इंटेलिजेंस वाला ब्रेन है ना, प्रीफ्रंटल कॉर्टेक्स, उसको वो चांस ही नहीं देता है. इमीडिएटली चैलेंज देख के वो अपना काम शुरू कर देता है. एंड ऑल ऑफ अस नो कि सिर्फ ही इमोशंस नहीं होते हैं, एंगर या एंजाइटी, इट इज अकम्पनीड बाय ऑल द बॉडीली मैनिफेस्टेशंस. पैल्पिटेशन होता है, शॉर्टनेस ऑफ ब्रेथ होती है, कभी कभी पसीना आ जाता है, मसल टोन बढ़ जाता है, हमारा कंट्रोल ही छूट जाता है. नाउ इट्स जस्ट अ फंक्शन जो हमें वाइजली खुद को प्रैक्टिस के साथ कराना है, that I have to habituate my brain to respond to every challenge as long as it's a psychosocial one. And trust me, in my day-to-day life, हार्डली दिन में एक आध बार होता होगा जब बायोलॉजिकल चैलेंज आता है. कब? लेट्स से आई एम ड्राइविंग, आई ट्राई टू ओवरटेक और सामने से कोई बड़ा फोर व्हीलर आ रहा है, इट्स अ बायोलॉजिकल थिंग, मुझे रिएक्ट करना है. तब तो एनी विच वेज मेरा एमिगडाला, मेरी लिम्बिक सिस्टम रिएक्ट करने ही वाली है. आई डोंट नीड टू डू एनीथिंग अबाउट दैट. बट रेस्ट ऑफ द 99% ऑफ द टाइम्स जो मेरे सामने चैलेंजेस आ रहे हैं वो साइकोसोशल है. I reach my clinic and I see that my receptionist has given appointments till 4 when I had specifically told her last week कि आज मेरी एक important meeting है और मेरी OPD 1 तक ही देनी है. What do I tend to do? I just blast out on her. Why? Again, challenge जो था वो psychosocial था, वो intellectually solve करने का था. अभी तो 10 ही बजे हैं. I have time, I have team, I have resources, I have technology. But because I get so angry in that reaction mode, मैं उसे क्या क्या बोल देती हूँ. How could you? ध्यान कहाँ रहता है? XYZ. And in this, I totally miss on the part of regulation. So ये क्रक समझ में आया है. Today, 99% of the challenges that are coming near me are psychosocial. However, because of my long-standing habit of reacting since lakhs of years, I tend to react to psychosocial challenges instead of pausing, thinking, and responding. I hope this picture is very, very clear with you, all of you, because if this is clear, then what we can do is then go to the further part of knowing how to resolve this, how to attune ourselves to this better. Going to our next slide. Yes. So, my dear parents, my dear doctors, what we need to practice ourselves as well as teach our parents to do is learn to pause. मेरे सामने कुछ भी चैलेंज आ जाए, मेरे बच्चे ने कुछ कर दिया हो या किसी ने भी कुछ कर दिया हो, I just need to tell myself pause just for a couple of seconds, and it is enough to shift myself from my hyper emotional brain to my wise thinking brain. So if I just pause and ask myself a couple of things, I can shift my internal focus from my reactive emotional brain to my wise thinking brain. Now, what are the reminders that I can ask myself to make this shifting easier? Next slide, please. Yes. For every challenging behavior displayed by your child, pause. Pause. Take a couple of deep breaths. Now, as I'm taking my deep breaths, I can just ask myself one simple question. Is it killing me? So I come from my clinic very, very tired and exhausted. I come home and I see my child टीवी फुल वॉल्यूम में लगा के बैठा है, सारे हॉल में उसने बहुत सारा मेस करके रखा है, उसके खिलौने हैं, उसके बुक्स है, जूते पड़े हुए बिखरे, टीवी फुल वॉल्यूम में शुरू है और ये टेबल पे पैर रख के टीवी देख रहा है. ये सिचुएशन में जब मैं खुद को पाती हूँ, इमीडिएटली वहां पे इट गोज, माय लिड गोज ऑफ और मुझे इतना गुस्सा आता है ना कि इसका क्या करूं. नाउ I have a choice. I become a slave to my emotional brain and just react. डांटना, चिल्लाना, अब्यूज करना, धमकी देना, I can do all of those things. Or I have a choice here. I can pause. I can take a couple of deep breaths. Ask myself then and there, is it killing me? Is the mess killing me? Is the volume of the TV killing me? Is the behavior of my child killing me? If I get the answer, no, it is not killing you, then I can ask myself the next question, what is my goal after evaluating this situation? आंसर तो बहुत क्लैरिटी के साथ मिल जाएगा कि मैं चाहूंगी कि मेरा बच्चा पहले तो टीवी बंद करे, थोड़ा ढंग से बैठे, उसने जो मेस करके रखा है पूरे हॉल में वो क्लीन करे, एंड माय लॉन्ग टर्म गोल इज ये रोज वो मेरे बोलने के बाद ना करे, पहले से करके रखे. So I'm not against him watching TV for a while every day. I'm against the way things are happening haphazardly without any discipline. Ab, next question is very, very simple. If I really want my child to be disciplined and cooperate with me on all these fronts, you yourself think about it कि मेरा चिल्लाना और abuse करना is going to make him cooperate in the long run, or if I actually deal with it in a wise and creative way, will it help me better? आंसर जाहिर है, बट आप बोलोगे कि हर बार तो ये कर नहीं सकते हैं. नो वरीज, लेट्स ट्राई अप्लाइंग दिस once in a day to begin with. Because if I compose myself before communicating with my child, the way I will communicate with my child will be better. If I communicate in a non-threatening, non-judgmental way, the chances of my child cooperating with me will always improve. And this will not just set the current tone in a healthy way. Please note, it will lay a base for our future communications in a much, much healthy and desirable way. So for every challenge that my child throws on me, be it being disrespectful, be him lying, be him fighting, be he doing anything, I just need to pause take a couple of deep breaths, ask myself, is it killing me? If no, I have resources to handle this situation better. Let me evaluate the situation and let me ask myself, what is my goal? And then, in a normal tone and volume, let me respond to my child's behavior instead of impulsively react. Right? Moving ahead, Vijayji. Right. So let us take a couple of situations here. Let's say that it is for the nth number of time your child is not finishing the tiffin that you are giving him for school. Your child is fighting like anything with his friends. His room is a total mess. Since 8 days you are telling him to clear it, to clean it, and it's not happening. Maybe this time he has scored very less. Maybe you have caught him lying. Maybe yours is a toddler and he has a knife in his hand, which you know is potentially threatening to him. Or it can be as simple as your child is throwing a tantrum in the middle of a supermarket in the mall. I just now request all of you to participate, take any of this situation, and using the principles that we just saw, share with me how would you bring yourself to respond mode and how would you respond to any of the situation. Anybody who is interested who can volunteer, I would like to hear from you now. Please. Yes, if it doesn't occur in our brains first, directly behavior में होना काफी difficult है. So why not just give it a try as a mental rehearsal before you actually are able to put it into practice? Bhavishi, Vijayji, can you just see if the participants are allowed to speak? I mean, whether they are allowed to contribute here?
Um, yeah, doctor, just give us a second.
Yeah. Okay. So shall we continue with the PPT and then take the questions? Nobody can participate right now? Okay. All right. Can we go back to the presentation? Let's go on to the next slide then. Okay. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Right. Now, this is very, very important. Children are little sponges. They absorb us and build their personality. Please note that each small reaction of mine is going to impact my baby, and he or she is going to take it as something to build his personality upon. So whether I react, whether I respond, whether I appreciate, or whether I appreciate in a very unhealthy way, everything is going to contribute to their long-term formation of personality. The relationships that I maintain with people around me, that is going to be my child's base of looking at relationships in future. So please note, this is not just a small thing that each time I'm pausing and responding to my child. Every time I do it, I'm setting up a base for my child, which my child can absorb and integrate into his or her own life. Next slide, please. Above all, let's not forget, children will remain children. So we all want children without childish behaviors. कितने restrictions डालते हैं ना हम बच्चों पे, कूदो मत, दौड़ो मत, ये मत करो, वो मत करो. If a 5-year-old and 6-year-old is not going to do that, who is going to do it? So this is a very important slide in terms of letting parents know that children will behave according to their developmental gradient. There is nothing wrong in it. Trust me, we need to tell them as doctors, we need to remind them that this is not pathological. 4 साल का बच्चा जंप करता है, वो अगर 15 साल का हो जाए तो सोफे पे जंप नहीं करने वाला है. So at times, parents just magnify their problems, fearing that उनका बच्चा वैसे ही रहेगा. So this is very important that we as doctors inform the parents coming to us that children will always behave according to their developmental gradient, and it is very, very normal for them to do so. So a small child will make mess, will shout, will jump, will run instead of walking, will pick his nose, will do all things that we adults feel he shouldn't be doing. It is normal, and it's okay to calm down instead of becoming hyper and jumping onto reacting every time. Next slide. Yes, a very funny one, but it gives out a very, very serious message. Children learn by imitation. See, when I get angry, at times I hit my child. And when my child hits his sibling or a friend, what, what do I prophesize? Hitting is not allowed. मारना नहीं है किसी को भी. And then what about the parent who has herself or himself beat up the child? Not done. What does mama do when she is angry? She shouts, she yells, वो चीजें जोर जोर से पटकती है. बच्चा एक ही मैसेज लेता है कि जब गुस्सा आए तो चीखना, चिल्लाना, पटकना इज ओके. लेकिन जब बच्चा गुस्सा होता है तब मैं क्या करती हूँ? नो, दिस इज नॉट अलाउड, दिस इज वेरी बैड, यू आर नॉट सपोज टू डू दैट. दिस इज हिपोक्रेसी. If I want my child to learn to regulate his or her emotions, it has to start with me regulating my own emotions. If my child sees every day कि मम्मा को गुस्सा आता है ना, तो मम्मा क्या करती है? 2 मिनट, let me think over it, and then she talks with me. जब मम्मा को किसी चीज का डर लगता है, what does mama do? She says, let's wait for a minute, let's think of what can be done, and let's talk it out. When mama is extremely tired, when mama is frustrated, when mama is sad, what does she do? So I have to be the role model for my child as far as emotional regulation is concerned. If this is my attitude, please know I'll be raising a much more emotionally healthy child who will be able to deal with unhealthy relationships, setbacks or failures in his own life, and would be leading a very, very decent and composed life no matter how many harsh situations hit her. That is my ultimate goal. I am providing my child with the best of education, best of nourishment. But when it comes to emotional nourishment, I'm just not teaching my child what is to be done. So if I'm able to develop resilience in my child, to teach my child that taking a no is not the end of the world, I can say that I am doing my job well. Right? Coming to the next slide. Yes, this is the last slide of the presentation, that ultimately I have to be very, very thankful to my child. I have to have gratitude for my child who has actually taught me so much of wisdom, so much of patience, so much of tolerance, even love. I never knew that I could love someone so near and dearly, at times even forgetting myself. So I need to be very, very respectful and thankful to my child, because he has really, really made me a better human being in terms of my emotions and in terms of experiencing my life in a wholesome form. So with this, I would like to extend a warm thank you to all of you for your patient listening. I hope these things help you in your day-to-day emotional regulation while dealing with your children, and wishing all of us a very, very happy parenting. Open for questions now. Okay, is there anything? Actually, there are many, many books that we have in market related to parenting, but there is no one single book which can give you all the answers to your questions. So I can maybe Bhavishi, I can send you a list of a couple of books which I have found helpful, and then you can share it with the participants. Right. Yes, Vijayji, I just said I'll send a couple of reference book for everybody to check on. I can't see the complete question. Just a minute, huh? Okay. What if a parent comes to us that child is hiding secretive behavior, how to handle it without getting the child offended? Okay, okay, okay. A nice question wherein the doctor is asking that if parents come to us saying that the child is displaying secretive behavior, not communicating openly, then what should our attitude or approach be? So you've started the answer well of yourself by saying that we need not offend the child here. So often parents jump over it, the matter, and bombard the child with innumerable questions. What, how, when, how could you, and these today's children. So without being judgmental and offending the child, how can we handle it? The first and foremost thing to remember here is empathize. Now, let's say we are talking about a teenager, the child is just 13. Because of all this thing of online schooling and stuff, the child has been given a laptop and a mobile. And the parent finds that the daughter is being very, very secretive with the use of her mobile. If the parent attacks the daughter directly that this is not done, this is not going to be tolerated in our house, and you can't put a password to your mobile, please note As the child is entering into her teenage, privacy is a need for her, and respecting that, I need to talk to my child. So, firstly, I need to empathize with my child that yes, this can happen. Okay, I see these days you have a set up a password for your mobile. I know you are in such an age where you might find parental interference a bit too much. But you know what? My only concern that I want to share with you is your safety. Today, I have been aware of in my practice, in my day to day life, in my office, whatever. I have seen how n number of things on the outside front are taking advantage of certain things which we post on our mobile or which what we do on our mobile without even we being aware of it. And till you are aware of all those things, I'm just concerned about your safety. Now, see, this was a very, very primary and basic communication. A parent can just empathize that for you, it might be very, very natural, but I also am concerned, and my concern is regarding your safety. I nowhere mean to intrude on your privacy. Now, with this, the seed has already entered the kid's mind that yeah, okay, she wants my password and this is what is going in her mind. Now my child might argue that but I know what I'm doing, I'm not going to any sites and all, I'm doing this, I'm doing not that. Okay, taken. I'm nowhere saying or accusing you that you are doing anything. I have complete trust on you, my child. But as a parent, I also have some concerns that I want you to understand. Now, please note everywhere I am talking in a very, very non threatening way with my child. Now, maybe on next occasion after 2 hours the next day, I can also be aware of what are the things that interest my child. What is she interested in? What are her inclinations? When I say that my child is being secretive, to what extent is he or she being secretive? Now, along with this, I need to modify my communication, and every time in a non threatening, empathic way, I have to communicate with her that for her safety, certain things are a must. Now, if after doing all this, even after that, my child is not opening up, at times I may have to put certain rules as rules for the entire house. See, for children, what we tend to do is I have password to my phone. My husband has a password to his phone. And I expect my daughter not to have a password for her mobile. Then in that case, I'll have to do some behavioral changes on my side also, wherein I can say that, okay, all of us need to be transparent to each other because we are a close knit family, and here we are all concerned about each other's safety. Even if you want to check on our phones, see, this is it. Now, again, all this is leading to one thing for sure, that whatever I am preaching, I need to be open to practice it most of the times. Now, if a certain issue is there where we can't do it ourselves due to whatsoever reason, then we will have to put it as a rule to her, irrespective of what? Point number one, because at the end of it, a parent has the right to be assertive to a child as long as it's the matter of his or her safety. And secondly, at times we see that the communication has already been polluted with some kind of judgments and prejudices, and the parent and the child are not on the same page. So when it goes to an extreme form, when after using all these things, the child is not budging, then it's always better to take help of a therapist. Because in the age where the child is running through a very, very sensitive phase of her life, it's important that she be talked to in a very, very neutral and non-judgmental way, often helped by a therapist, to take care of those forming impulses of hers so that this doesn't become a problem for the rest of her future years. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Yes, we are also parents, and the reflexes reactions towards our kids comes as a part of concern and protective virtue we carry for our kids. how to efficiently regulate it on a daily basis and ensure cordial parent-child relationship. Of course, a very pertinent question, but the only thing I would like to suggest here is start small. Now we have just seen one principle because we had a short time frame here that we need to pause every time. Now let's say there is a child and who is continuously on her mobile. The mother is calling her for having dinner. The mother called her thrice and yet she is not coming. Now it's very natural for her mother to feel concerned for her, her future, her excessive mobile use, and ultimately to go and yell at her that can't you listen? I've called you three times already. Can't you just keep your phone aside for a while? This is going to come to me very, very naturally. And of course, as the participant has asked, it has come out of concern. As we have discussed, the way I deal with my child is often more important than what the actual issue is. So if I called my child thrice and she is just not responding, and I go to her room and find that she is just busy on her mobile, I again need to pause. Is this behavior killing me? No. One important thing that was there on the slide, I just forgot to say it aloud. Oblique, is it damaging my child's life? Is it threatening my child's life? So it can be disturbing or damaging or deviating for my child, but it's not directly presenting any physical harm to my child. As long as that is the case, as long as he's not with a knife in his hand, I can still pause, compose myself, ask myself what is the goal, and then react. Now, after going to her room, if a mother sees that her daughter is on mobile, she can just pause, take a deep breath, remind herself that it is a challenge of a teenager that she is facing, and then in a very, very non-threatening, non-judgmental tone, call out to her daughter and say, I'm sure whatever is going on right now is very important to you, but I still expect that you be alert when I'm calling you and at least respond with a yes or no because I'm concerned. Now she might say, oh, sorry, mama, I just did not hear you, or you know what happened? She might start sharing as to what exactly is she into. When a mother speaks in a threatening and a labeling way, the child reacts in the same way. Children are the live demo of Newton's third law of motion. You react and they'll react with equal and opposite intensity. So if a mother does not attack her daughter, instead with a little bit of empathy, she lets her daughter know what is expected of her, the daughter is likely to respond better. And at the end of it all, I would just like to say that start this as a rule at least once a day. See to it that you just pause before reacting at least once a day. See the impact that it brings. See the communication that you can have after that when you are composed and calm. And when you reap the benefits of this once, I'm sure your brain will be more likely to take it up the way of responding more oftenly in the future. So it's all about practice and training my brain to come or to bring self from reaction mode to respond mode. Okay, so I think we are done with the questions here and it's almost time also. So I extend my thanks to the organizers of Hetero Pharma and for all the participants for participating in the workshop and my best wishes to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. It was indeed an interesting session, and we could all correlate it with the examples which you gave, really interesting examples and the real life examples which we all face in our day-to-day life. And surely we must all go in the responding mode instead of the reacting mode, and we must all practice and train ourselves in the pause mode, which you said. And surely children are like the sponges, and we as a parent we build their personality, and we either are the change in the child will give the constructive or the destructive behavior in them. So thank you, doctor, once again for such an interesting session. It was a lovely session. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.